Cool. Hey, yo, this is Sean Party Girls. Them overall locking it long beside 2B's TV for you and me to know all what's going on in the industry. You know it go. Blessing them without stressing them. Dirty, yeah. Yeah.
Much better. How you doing today?
Very good. How are you? What, man? How are you?
I'm great. My name is Miss 2B's. I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to me, first of all. I'm so excited
Thanks for having me.
You.
And I'm sorry I'm that late. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you for making it. So before we get into the new music, you know, I have to ask and want to know, how has the pandemic been treating you?
The first 5 months I was scared like a rabbit, and you know, basically I have asthma, and so I'm kind of watching all the news and the conspiracy theories and trying to get my head in gear for the fight. So then I decided, yo, I'm live and living still. I'm doing my thing. So I went back to the studio, and now 2 albums later. Two things the pandemic has given me is a lot more time in studio, which is amazing. I'm able to do a lot of ideas that I wanted to do, and a lot more time at home with the fam, with my kids, with my wife, which is something that I haven't had the full experience of because of the touring. I was always in and out. So that's 2 things I'm giving thanks for. The rest of it, they can keep it.
And how is it spending more time at home? I know it affects a lot of people differently, but how is it for you?
Oh, great. In terms of, you know, a lot more family time. My mom and my grandmother live in the same complex with us. My grandma's 97, my mom's 70. My kids are 4 years and 1 year and a half. So I've been having to you know, be very aware of that and push through. But yeah.
God bless your mother and grandma as well for living lives and having their health throughout this pandemic as well.
And honestly, it's made me and the wife a little bit more tight. You know what I mean? We've had to, So yeah.
I can imagine. So your album, Live and Livin', is stacked with dancehall legends and some new acts that have the streets on lock as well. What's the creative process like behind this project?
Well, as I said, I was in my shell for a while, and then I came and started to do some work, and I was like, okay, let's get back to the program and put out some singles that I was planning to put out throughout the year. Just 1 or 2 singles with, you know, dancehall stars. I have a relationship with Island Records. I'm signed to them, but they let me put out my own productions on my label, and a couple other productions in Jamaica, because they understand how fast-paced the record industry is here then, or at least this genre, and that we must keep up the pace to stay relevant. So they allow me to do that. So I started to do that in the studio. But then I had an interview with someone asked me, how come you didn't do Versuz? Would you do it? And I said, no, I wouldn't. They said, why? I said, it reminds me of clashing. They said, clashing is in your culture. It's dope. And I was like, yeah, it's been dope, but I'm personally not feeling that type of stuff no more. So I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the universe and stay away from things like that. The whole Versuz, I respect everybody that did it. I respect the people that put it on, respect the platform. But that was just a stance I took on it. It's called Versuz Battle. I don't want to battle nobody in the music. I want to build champions. I don't want to kill champions. Music is a mission, not a competition. So that's where I'm at with it. And then that whole thing just started me to, you know, I did a song called Lionheart, in which I'm kind of clashing the whole culture at that point. And I'm saying, who's going to hate me now for me saying my opinion that I don't like clashing? It's not the focus of what we should be pinpointing right now. We should be getting that cash. We shouldn't be clashing. We should be collaborating and doing great things. And So I decided, yo, let me just put this work all together. Let me put it on one album. Let me do a Unity is the Best community album, Live and Living. So yeah, the whole interview that sparked all of those thoughts. And, you know, as I said, I was going to put out a single with Buju, and then later in the year, probably another single with Serani, and then later again, some other stuff. But then I just decided, yo, whole thing, one album. I had to speak to Island. They gave me their blessing. They said, as long as I do it like about March time, this was about November, I was like, got you, bro. And I got busy. So, you know, for far too long, our genre, we're dope and people love us, and we rock the stage shows, we're in the clubs, and well, we're too cliquish, you know, we ain't doing stuff together. So I've had many conversations with Shaggy and Junior Gang and Buju, and all of us have the same thing that comes up in the conversation. We don't do enough collabs. So that's kind of what sparked it. That conversation with those three great artists, and then the interview and me kind of clashing the culture and saying, well, F you all if you don't like my opinion. And then I just decided to put it all together.
I definitely sense the unity on this project, but Versuz has evolved so much. If you were to change your mind and do it, I do think it would be more of a celebration in a sense, because all of the international dancehall artists that crossed over in the early 2000s, you guys are all in your own lanes. Like you, Beanie, Elephant Man. So I think it will be more so a celebration, and it will also help push the genre more to the forefront because it's such a big...
I saw somebody do it the other day where he just called people on.
D'Angelo.
Yeah, I keep saying other names. D'Angelo, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw that and I was like, that I would do. Yeah, you know, as I said, it's supposed to be a joyful noise unto the Lord. And when I have to answer a phone call the next day and tell somebody if I like Keisha Cole or Ashanti, I'm like, the both of them sexy in hell, and the both of them can sing amazing. I don't want to pick.
Right.
I just want to enjoy. And so that's what I think it should be for, you know what I mean? I think what they were doing is to try and spice up the virtual side of things, because it can be a little monotonous. But honestly, the way D'Angelo did it, I would do that, yeah.
It's funny that you bring that point up, because I follow some Jamaican blogs on Instagram, and I saw a tweet after, I don't remember which Versuz it was, but the person highlighted that clash culture is what pushed the genre this far, but it's also the same thing that's holding us back. And I'm from New York, and I know the connection between New York and Jamaica, and like the gang culture and the music and everything is all intertwined. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
So it's just, I like the way that the Versuz like kind of evolved it. It's more of a celebration. I don't think it will be...
I get that. I get that. Well, when I was asked that question, Versuz was really early, and I was like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But also that statement that person made about it being, you know, the thing that pushed our whole culture forward, and also the thing that's holding it back. I don't really agree. I agree that at this point it holds us back. What it did make us was potent MCs, because I had to be ready if anybody would come for me.
That's a fact.
Right. So yeah. But when you look at myself, Shaggy, Coffee, Conscience, Charlie Blacks, Egyptian, Serani, none of us clash. And all of us stream amazing numbers. I'm one of the bigger ones. So I would beg to differ that clashing actually pushed the whole genre somewhere, because there was years when Bunty and Beanie was warring, and that's all the genre talked about. But I snuck by. You know, I snuck by, and I did well in international circles. So did all of those other artists I just mentioned. Yeah. So I think the focus is just wrong in us thinking that clashing brought us to where we are. It was people like me that brought us to where we are, and people like Shaggy and people like Coffee. Bounty Killer and Beat Man did something
Mhm.
for the immediate genre excitement, and that's dope, and it takes a hell of a lot of skill to do. But at the same time, when they've that time has passed and their kids come around in terms of the younger generation, and they're doing it, and they are calling each other's mothers' names and kids' names in songs now. That's no way in any way pushing this genre forward. It actually, I've been around many people who are like, oh, I love your music. And I'm like, yeah, dancehall is amazing. And they're like, I like your music. I don't like the full dancehall thing because of the clashing. And we have a song way back in the 60s. It says, war a go on down the lane, nah go down there. War a kick up me say down the lane, we nah go down there. And it's the same sentiment I'm getting from these people who are saying like, yo, it makes me like, I don't want to go out and hear that. I don't want to dance to that. I don't want to, to me, all of that clashing that we did to show how great we was to each other, we've already done it. And
Yeah.
when we embellish in violence now and kind of you know glorifying it, it's a point where a person like me, if it's like speak up and say, where did that actually carry us?
Right.
Where did it? I would love to know who got signed really from all that.
It's
And because their minds was geared towards that type of thing, that's
yeah.
why they got signed. Some of them got signed and put all that in the albums, and
Yeah.
it ain't go nowhere.
It's
So
crazy.
I beg to differ that it put us on a map. Our beautiful, amazing, vibesy creations of music did. I mean, you look at Egyptian compared to even Mavado. Egyptian has gotten on the radio more than Mavado. So
This
it's
is
Charlie Blacks. You judge it for yourself. Tell me.
no, you haven't told not one lie yet. And it's crazy because if someone was to clip this sound bite and just take it out of context, it would sound like you're talking about pop.
That's what's gonna happen anyway. Where
Right?
people, and that's why I did the song Lionheart, because in the interview, I said what I said, that first interview I was talking about, and I did glean, the newspaper out here carried it, and everybody started, so I said, I'm gonna clash the culture. I'm gonna tell y'all what I feel, and ask you how you gonna hate me now? It's what I feel. I'm one of the highest selling artists in the genre, highest streaming artists, most visual profile. I have an opinion, and that's my opinion.
Period. I
Sure.
love it.
Thank you.
How was it collaborating with Buju Banton? Did you guys collaborate virtually or were you in the studio together?
In the studio, he's a hero to me, someone I've looked up to in the genre for a long time. For uh, his the pace of music that he put out, the dope lyrics, the crazy voice.
Yes.
Also, he's been through a lot of adversities in his life and in his career, and he's come through and still a champion. You know what I mean? So it's amazing that he's been through all that and he's still giving us music with positive messages. And so, I was able to visit him 2 times when he was incarcerated, just to let him know I cared, and we've had a friendship, especially since that, and he's been out. And so I went to the studio and I was playing him a couple tracks that I wanted him to just do a song on. And then we ended up doing the song. It was at his studio. So yeah, big up to him, and for inspiring me for all those years. And I was 19 and he was 19, but I was watching him on a stage. I was like, wow, that's the guy that sings that song.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was doing it from that age, and I kind of learned from him. So big up to him, man. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the project. I was listening to it since you had the advanced virtual event.
Yes.
And it was a good project, but I'm waiting for Scorcher because that one is for the ladies. And
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
speed. Do you have a release date for that?
It's in the end of May. I'm trying to pinpoint the date right now.
Okay.
Every song is finished. We are trying to mix off a few. So I thought late May. And that's a dope project. As you said, it would be more for the ladies. There's more feel good music on there, a lot more. Songs with Sia is a big song called Dynamite. Really, just a nice song, feel good song, as she always does. Gwen Stefani and Shensia in one Lovers Rock song. That's gonna be amazing.
Okay.
Ty Dolla $ign is a rapper I really rate, and he's on the album. Stylo G's on the album. Tovlo, Jada Kingdom's on the album. Junior Gang, and Nicky Jam. So yeah, that one's gonna be a banger too. And the reason I put out the two of them the same time-ish is because I just think people need music. I've had a lot of music before where I was like, I'm gonna put out this mixtape, and I was kind of advised by a lot of people around me, no, put the album out first. And when I did do that, I put the album out, and then the mixtape kind of washed away. So I didn't want that to happen this time with this work, and I had to call Island and say to them, yo, I got this album. And as I said, they said before March, so I stepped with it. And I just feel that people, in all aspects of life have used music for some sort of release or some form of to lean up a little bit. You know what I mean? We need leaning up right now. We need that help. We need that shoulder to lean on. And so the music I'm trying to give is feel good music and music to think about. Yeah.
Is your collaboration with Spice gonna be on there?
Actually, no, that's for her album. I'm really excited about that too. She Shaggy's taking control of doing her album, and he shouted me out, and we was like, yeah, let's do it. So a big tune called Go Down. We shot the video already. It's gonna be released April 30th, and sorry, and her album subsequently after that. So I think it's gonna be April 30th is when that song is released. I'm not sure when her album's coming out, but very excited for that. We've been, both me and myself and Shaggy, been kind of looking for the females in the genre to step up, and they have been.
Yeah,
it's been amazing. I mean, people like Spice, Coffee, Shensia, Jada Kingdom. There's a girl named Stark Ashley who's dope. She does sound like Jada a lot to me. Naomi Cowan, Lila Ike. All these names are people who are producing, Savannah, people who are producing music that is really worth the time and is really entertaining and beautiful music. So I'm happy to be on the track, but also just happy for her and happy for the females. You know what I mean? We've had a male-dominated business or genre for a long time, and I'm sure you know that. So when the girls kind of like Lady Saw had to be really raw, but now she pushed open the door, and people like Coffee don't have to really do that. She's making good music that will transcend. And big up to Lady Saw for her steps that she took and made, and Spice is now expanding her sound to not only be just more hardcore. She's giving us all types of things to think about as well when she sings, and it's good stuff.
I don't think the Love and Hip Hop audience understands how legendary Spice is.
Nah, they're gonna catch up though.
Yeah, I don't think they get it.
They're gonna catch up, man. Especially when the album comes out. There's a lot of good tracks on there. I've heard a few. So as I said, I'm excited and I'm looking forward, and I hope they catch up soon.
They will. They always do eventually.
Yeah, right.
Next year marks the 20th anniversary of Dirty Rock. And that album is one of the soundtracks of my childhood. I grew up in Flatbush. So that album was on repeat. My mother's from Panama. You had the Spanish version of Punky on it. I used to play in Panama. So that album means a lot. So were the parties really like how you depicted it in Get Busy? Because I'm too young. I get to experience it.
Yeah, actually, dancehall parties are really dope, especially when I was younger. there's no feeling like that, you know, liking a young lady and being like, yo, I'm hands up on her tonight. And that kind of start the whole you know, union between you. A song, a dope song. So, you know, nowadays it's a lot different. I don't know if you've been to dancehall parties nowadays, but
Yes,
you know,
I have.
people cliquish, and the dudes stand over there, and no one's dancing together anymore. But back in the day, it was more like how Light Glue was, or like even I'm Still in Love, with the dudes and girls doing the thing around 2:30, around 2:30 at night. They playing up. I think so. It was definitely, you know, socializing with the females for me, and just having fun and sweating and drinking and being a wild kid, but it was dope.
I would never forget watching 106 in Park and seeing that video, especially I'm Still in Love. Like, I remember being a little girl and just watching the colors and them getting ready for the video, and then you guys dancing.
Yeah.
And it was such an era. It was definitely such an era.
And you know what? I think that when all of this is said and done, this stuff that's happening right now, it's gonna be the roaring 20s, as they said again. People gonna really like get out there. You know what I mean, I see people doing it now. You know, Miami and Texas and places like that, and even Atlanta, but it still ain't it's not gonna be
Hey,
like when it frees up. So looking forward to that.
I saw recent reports that suggested that the reason that you rarely performed your hit single with Beyonce was because of Jay-Z. Do you mind adding clarity to that?
Yeah, people asked me the question, and I said in the interview, it was an interview here in Jamaica on radio, a date radio show. We did a big sexy song, dope song, but there were incidences that did happen while we were to perform the song, which were weird. So maybe that started the rumors, I said, and
Oh,
they took it and flew with it. What I really was saying was that, you know, there was MTV Awards in Europe. The Pro Tools started to skip while we were on the stage, and millions of people was watching us, and that was it was weird. I've never heard of that happening. Pro Tools don't skip; you have to program it. So that was weird. And then also my mic was off in California. We did like a jingle ball over there for one of these big stations, and I could hear myself because I'm on the stage, and they had the speakers, the feedback speakers that you could hear yourself, but the crowd couldn't hear me at all. And then there was a couple of incidences I spoke about, and I said maybe those things caused the rumors, but nothing ever happened between me. We just did a big sexy song, and the world loved it. So then it blew out of proportion. I must say that I think the two of them are talented, extremely focused, and in me just speaking about me, I want to say no problem with them. Just to clear it up on your end and tell your fans so they can watch and see. But that's really what I said in the interview. And again, sound bites and headlines, and that's what people used to sell their papers and stuff. So it is what it is.
yeah, I did find it interesting that that was a report because I see that Jay-Z is a credited songwriter
On
on.
the song, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like, he wouldn't have a problem. He has credit.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm working on a project right now that I'm expecting to release next month that is actually analyzing the careers of the big international dancehall artists that were able to cross over, like yourself, Beanie, and Elephant Man to be specific. But it seems like in the late 2000s, dancehall artists that had a huge influence were struggling to cross over, like Vibes Cartel and Movado. It seemed very much mainstream, or even just like in Flatbush, in my little part of Flatbush where I was. And according to my research, it seems like it's a direct result of when the United States was canceling all of the dancehall artists' visas.
That's a
Do you
big part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like 10 years ago. And I really feel like that stifled the entire genre, because how are they able to come and tour and promote if they're only limited to certain markets?
You know, there's a lot more to it than that. Um, there's behaviors and stuff that happen, and that's why they lost their visas for whatever reasons it was.
Okay.
Um, but when you look at the history of dancehall music and how we affected and interjected ourselves into different genres of different streams, and it just shows you there's an ebb and flow. And I'm gonna give you a few scenarios. Shabba Ranks and people like Shaggy.
Mhm.
They were a little before my time, but they bust the door open for me. How did they do it? They didn't go with Ting-a-ling-a-ling, which was what we loved. You understand? We loved those type of songs. We did love Slow and Sexy with Johnny Gill, and we did love Maxi Priest and Shabba, you know, Mr. Loverman, Rare. But those were all mixed with R&B for especially American radio's palette to
Okay.
accept them. Because our raw dance are like big up, all of the posse them, big up, and ting-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring. Those weren't crossing over. They weren't getting on the radio. They just weren't.
Wow. Very true.
Right. So they used those R&B at the time to get into the earshot of the program directors and get on the radio. That's a big step for our genre. Time passes, people like Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, Spragga Bench, myself come along. And it's about time now with the international markets, the residue of what happened with Shabba and Shaggy and those people kind of, you know, there's people going, I missed that. Where is that? I want to hear more of that. I actually want to hear the more hardcore stuff. I got a taste for that now. So their palettes open. So that, you know, who was ready for that? Beanie, myself, other people came through the door. Mr. Vegas, you know what I mean? We came with hardcore, original dancehall music. And then I blew up. And that took a while, for my career to kind of run its course. About 2010, I started to find myself having problems getting my song on the radio. So I had to blend it with what was the top music at the time, just like Shabba did and just like Shaggy did, where I was blending it with the dance music that was happening and doing, EDM, doing work with those type of producers, just to stay in the earshot. I have now two different fans, my hardcore fans, and I have this pop audience, people who know me just from the song with Sia, and then start to check out the rest of my career after that. So I was blending the stuff. Just about that time was the same time as you're talking about, where a lot of people lost their visas. So it was a double impact. Whereas we're all wanting to do hardcore music, because that's what broke Sean and that's what broke. But it came about in the time of the world where the world was starting to listen to dance music and more pop sounding music. Okay. So that was so those two things happened. Now, when you look at hip hop broke in the Bronx, spread to Brooklyn and Queens and the rest of New York. New York was the mecca for a long time. Then it went West Coast. Then there was that beef and that battle, and then it went
to the south,
and then it went France and Germany and London are creating their own hip hop and different subgenres, grime and all of this stuff. So that proves the music is powerful and it's taking effect elsewhere in the world, but also those influences are gonna change it. You know what I mean? So all of those three things, the visa is one, the ebb and flow of how people's palate could accept what dancehall is to them, and our not wanting to, like me, I was doing She Doesn't Mind at the time when the clash was going on with Gaza and Gully, and that's totally different. That's you understand. I was doing that to get in their earshot because basically, you know, they weren't hearing that hardcore sound anymore. So all of the hardcore stuff Mavado and Cartel was spitting out, we were loving it, and we do love it. But I'm someone that saw the trends, and I'm like, I gotta mix my music with this now, like what Shabba did, like what Shaggy did, because that's how I keep my audience. It happens in pop music also. I mean, when you listen to Taylor Swift, there's hip hop elements in there, where the drums are concerned. Where she's a country and western artist, or a pop country and western artist, but she's mixing the stuff so that she could get in the earshot. She could get some of those listeners. It is what it is. And I think that dancehall, especially in Jamaica, you know, when someone's successful at football, everybody want to be the soccer player. Somebody's successful at running, everybody want to be the runner. Somebody's successful at a certain type of music, everybody wants to do that. But they ain't watching the trends of what's happening on Earth. And that's a big part of it. That's a big part of what happened. It's the same time I started to do more poppy sounding dancehall and more dance-oriented sounding dancehall. Yeah. Up to about 3 years ago, I'm still doing, songs with Dua Lipa and Becky G. But it comes around to now, and I'm like, I think they're ready. People are ready for a dancehall sound, for a hardcore, back into that now. We've influenced reggaeton, Afrobeat, Zessin music in Trinidad.
Zessin music.
Right. So all of that's come from dancehall. All of that. And
hip hop.
And they've taken, that too, from the original Bronx days. You know, big up to Cool Herc. But so I take all of those things into consideration, and then I put my foot forward as to how I'm gonna keep on the charts, how I'm gonna keep streaming. And so now I think people is ready for a hardcore dancehall sound again. We'll see how long it lasts. When Bieber and them and Major Lazer got together and did Sorry and all those songs, that was very poppy, but it was still dancehall music. So you have to watch the trends, and I think that's a lot what some of our artists weren't doing. We're just going hard at each other, and that's what I mean about the clash. It was time to kind of blend the sound, and none of us wasn't doing it. We was, except for myself and probably Shaggy and like Coffee, or people who was experimenting. But then, instead of us celebrating those people, we were celebrating the clash. It's just the focus of what the fans was focusing on. Sometimes you need to do that. And so for that reason, all those factors did contribute. Yes, the visa thing was a big problem, but they could still put music out. And what they were putting out wasn't helping that situation either. All they was talking is gangster shit, excuse my language, and you're losing your visa. So how are you gonna get back that when you're seeing about guns and you are involved in it's kind of weird. You have to watch your trends and you have to be smart in this business. I think some people think that doing the pretty music is not hardcore enough, but I tend to differ, and I think that business-minded people like Shaggy, they go a long way.
And yourself.
Exactly. Look how he's done. Look how much years Shaggy been in it before me, and he's still there doing it and charting music. He had a song called Banana the other day, which no one here really knows a lot, but it's a big song for him, streamed a lot. Him and a dude named Conqueror, and he continues to help people in the genre, guide them, at least. Like with me, he's guided me in a lot of steps. And I listen and I watch the trends. And for those reasons, I think you can't just say it's just the visa alone that hampered our industry, because we still had a vibrant industry with great producers. What we should have done was paid attention to what we had to do, which was to blend the sound at the time.
because the hip hop artists don't hesitate. Anytime they need a hit, they definitely lean
They
on
go for it.
reggae sound.
Straight,
And I agree
straight.
with you. I think that we are yearning for it because the last time that there was like that era of just dance hall, that just vibrant wave was when I was in high school. That was over 10 years ago. And we see in the verses now, like the verses peaked after Beanie Man and Bounty did their own. Like
Exactly.
I personally haven't really enjoyed another one as much as I enjoyed that one and the one before that.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. I do think that we need to genre blend, especially because you were a part of like the early hip hop reggae genre blendings on the Belly soundtrack. And
Yeah,
that's
man.
another thing that helped catapult the genre. So
Back in the day with all the sound systems, Renaissance, Stone Love, and my brother's sound, Copper Shot, we used to want to do dubs on the latest DMX track, but I would only do that in dubs. Yeah, we used to want to use Wu-Tang tracks, and we used to want to use the latest Tupac, California. Those are, and I would sing, in Jamaica, we can party. You know what I mean? We would blend it because our own audience, our own audience here was kind of getting tired of all the same. It happens in every genre, and you have to experiment. And so that led to me wanting to do work with Tony Touch, Razelle on the first album, the Neptunes, ultimately working with the Clips after that, Busta Rhymes, and as you said, DMX. So yeah.
I had such a good conversation. I learned so much about you. I was impressed though. You have a long career with no controversy to your name, and you're still a legend.
Except that I said Jay-Z was jealous,
Right?
apparently.
They tried to push that in there real quick, but we're gonna make it right. I'm gonna make sure that this part you can't even trim
You
it.
can't soundbite. Okay, perfect.
But thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will be looking out for Scorcher in May.
Hey, wicked. Appreciate it. I know you're gonna love that one.